All right, I want you to picture this. You're 15 years old, your bags are packed, you're buzzing with excitement for a family vacation, only to get to the airport and be left behind by your own mother. This isn't some made-up story. This is the true, gut-wrenching story of a young woman named Blanche, and it's about how one absolutely shocking moment at Gate 24 didn't just break her world apart, but in a strange way, helped her build a whole new one. Let's get into it.
These are the exact words Blanche's mom dropped on her, right there in the middle of the airport. There was no big blow-up, no screaming match. Nope, just this quiet, almost casual sentence that landed like a punch to the stomach. A dream vacation turned into an actual living nightmare in an instant. And get this, after dropping that bomb, her mom shoves $200 into her hand. $200, and tells her to figure it out. Figure out how to get an Uber home to a house she doesn't even have a key for. All while her brand new blended family just jets off to paradise without even looking back.
So you have to be asking, how on earth did it get to this point? Well, the truth is, this betrayal started way before they ever set foot in that airport. You know, hindsight is always 20/20, right? Looking back, the warning signs were everywhere. But think about it. She's a 15-year-old kid who just wants to fit in, to feel like she's part of this new family. So she brushed it all off, you know? She held on to this hope that the Bali trip was going to be the thing that finally made them all click. And this was the moment the floor just dropped out from under her. Her new stepdad, Richard, he hands over this stack of passports to the airline agent, and she sees it plain as day. 5 passports, not 6. There were boarding passes for her mom, for Richard, and for her 3 step-siblings. And for her? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Can you even imagine when Blanche, totally stunned, tried to say something? This was her mother's response. She didn't call it what it was, a betrayal. No, she called it a sacrifice for her new family's future. The casual cruelty is just mind-blowing. Then she gives her a quick kiss on the forehead, turns around, and walks away.
So there she is, stranded, alone. And once that initial shock wears off, pure panic sets in. She was left with no choice but to make a call she never thought she'd have to make. With her phone battery draining fast, she's frantically scrolling through her contacts, and then she lands on it. Dad, a name she hasn't called in years because her mom had spun this whole story about how he just wasn't interested, that he wasn't cut out for parenthood. Calling him felt like the absolute last-ditch, break glass in case of emergency option.
Her hands are shaking, but she hits dial. And his voice on the other end, it changed everything. There was no what's wrong, no 20 questions, just pure, immediate concern and a promise. He didn't say he'd send a car. He didn't offer to wire money. He said, "I'm coming to get you myself." That was the first tiny ray of light in what was a very, very dark day. Okay, so about 3 hours go by, an airline employee comes and gets Blanche and walks her to a private terminal. And walking down the stairs of this fancy private jet is her father. This wasn't just a rescue mission. This was the first huge crack in the entire reality her mother had built around her for years.
What Blanche was about to find out is that she'd been the victim of years of some serious gaslighting. You know, it's when someone messes with your head so much, you start to question what's real. And her mother hadn't just told a few white lies. She had systematically twisted Blanche's entire view of her dad and her own life. On that flight, her dad opens up this folder just full of documents. Proof. Line number 1, he was a deadbeat who barely paid child support. The truth? Bank statements showing he sent way more than he was required to. Line number 2, he'd moved on and forgotten her. The truth? Copies of letters, court filings, proof he'd even hired private investigators to find her. And the biggest lie of all? That he was struggling? Turns out, he was the CEO of a major tech company. About a week later, while her mom's still off in Bali, Blanche and her dad go back to the house to pack up her stuff. And there, tucked away in the back of her closet, she finds this box. And inside, a stack of envelopes. Birthday cards, Christmas cards, letters just to say hi, all from her father, all addressed to her, all hidden by her mom. Just gut-wrenching. All those years of feeling unwanted, and here was the proof that she was loved the entire time. So when her mom finally got back from that Bali trip, you know this confrontation was coming. And it was going to be a big one. And her mother's first move? To try and twist reality one last time. She actually tried to claim she was protecting Blanche, that her father was unreliable and would only let her down. I mean, it's the classic gaslighter's playbook, right? Trying to make Blanche doubt the cold, hard proof she'd seen with her own two eyes. But her father, she wasn't having any of it. He just calmly and clearly shut it down. He said there were no broken promises, just her deliberate, systematic campaign to completely erase him from his own daughter's life. And he had the receipts to prove it. And this is when Blanche found her voice. She didn't yell, she didn't cry, she just stated the facts, the cold, hard, undeniable truth of what happened. It was so simple, but so powerful. There was just no way to argue with it, no way to twist it. And with all her lies exposed, the real reason finally tumbled out. It was never about protection. It wasn't about anything but herself. She whispered that she was scared of losing Richard, scared of being alone and broke again. In the end, she chose a man's wallet over her own child.
Now, as painful as that confrontation was, it was also the turning point. Because with the truth finally out in the open, Blanchard could actually start to heal and build a new life for herself.
And that's exactly what she did. First thing, her dad got full custody, no contest. She started therapy to unpack all of the trauma and manipulation she'd been through. She enrolled in a new school, and for the first time in forever, she made real friends and started to thrive. And most importantly, she and her dad started to build back their relationship, piece by piece, while she put up some major, healthy boundaries with her mother.
And she didn't just survive this whole ordeal, she absolutely soared. Blanche graduated as valedictorian of her high school. Then she went on to study psychology and family law, deciding to turn her own pain into a purpose, to help other kids who might be stuck in situations just like hers.
So, after this whole insane journey, from being abandoned at an airport to becoming this incredible advocate, what's the real takeaway here? What does a story like this actually teach us about what a family is?
One of the biggest lessons, I think, came from Blanche's therapist. Healing didn't mean she had to pretend what her mom did was okay. Not at all. It meant she had to make a choice not to let that one horrible act of betrayal ruin the rest of her life. Forgiveness, in that sense, isn't for the other person. It's about taking your own power back.
And really, Blanche's story just boils down to this one question. Her mother, connected by blood, chose to leave. Her father, who had been kept away by lies for years, chose to show up, and in a big way. It makes you think, doesn't it, that maybe family isn't about biology. Maybe it's just about the people who make the choice, day in and day out, to show up for you.